Kara is a writer for a dating magazine. One afternoon, she finishes her work early and visits her coworker and friend Megan, who, instead of working, is busy searching for a snowboard for her upcoming ski trip. They have a small conversation about it and wish to be able to go and buy it now, before Christmas Eve. But their chief is always there to get in their way, with a secret pocket full of endless assignments. Kara assumes that she has already seen her new article and goes to her office to get some feedback. It seems like Diane, the chief editor, is very fond of Kara's writing in general. She calls her favorite writer. She takes a brief look at her text and puts it away heartlessly, saying that it's good, but lacks something. She wants to love it, but she can't help but want to see something more personal and touching. She knows that Kara is single, and this fact must allow her to go out there, have countless experiences, and then convey them in her texts. But Kara protests that she actually started seeing someone, and she prefers it to stay personal. Diane will hear nothing of it. She will have her rewrite, but before that, Kara and Megan should go out and not show their faces at work before tomorrow morning. It's almost Christmas. Nobody in their right mind should be working now. In the evening, Kara and Megan are anxious not to be late. Megan is already at the point where she proposes to go to Jesse's rooftop party. Jesse is Kara's new boyfriend. They have only been dating for 3 weeks, so Kara prefers to be careful. However, suddenly, Megan finds a letter from Berkeley University telling Kara that she got accepted to take part in the graduate program in creative writing. Kara knew about the letter, but was too scared to open it before Christmas. She's extremely happy. An enormous array of possibilities have suddenly opened themselves to her, and she can't wait to tell it all to Jesse. So they forget about their caution and head to the rooftop party. By the time they reach the party, Kara is still unable to fully comprehend the great news. She has no idea what her next step is going to be. When they finally reach the top of the building, Kara starts looking around to find Jesse. Then, amidst the people loudly doing the countdown, she sees him talking to a girl and starts walking toward him. But before she can take a few steps, she sees Jesse hold the girl by the waist and kiss her passionately. Both Kara and Megan freeze in place, and their uplifted mood changes instantly. In the morning, they grab a coffee at a place that is also a bookshop. Kara tries to cover up her broken heart by looking at the books. Megan tries to bring her back and lighten her mood, but she's not so successful. Kara seems to even have second thoughts about starting grad school. Just at that moment, 2 men enter the coffee shop. The girls don't know them, but they are Ben and Sean. One likes books and can throw away his life for a taste of a well-written text, and another couldn't care less about the prettily arranged symbols with hidden meanings. From their conversation, we understand that they are planning to go skiing this weekend, but Ben is reluctant to go. He is eager to stay away from public attention for some reason, but we don't yet understand why. In any case, Sean doesn't let him back down now, and he also reminds him that they are doing it for charity. Meanwhile, Megan convinces Kara to go to school and take a step back from the magazine job and from dating life. This way, she'll have much more time and energy to finish her novel. As they are about to go out, Kara bumps into Ben, but they do not know each other yet. Back in the office, Kara tells Diane about her decision. The chief editor is mildly confused. She needs Kara to work throughout the whole weekend to keep her favorite writer under her wing, so Diane promises her a promotion, the new title of editor. In the next scene, Megan tells Kara that her trip is canceled because her cousin got sick. But Kara still urges her to go alone. She tells her that that's what she would do, in her shoes. Those words give Megan an idea. She asks Kara to go. As Kara tries to reject the offer, and Megan tries to change her mind, Diane overhears their conversation, and tells Kara that the writer must long for different and colorful experiences. So, she should definitely go into the mountains. In the next scene, Kara and Megan are in the car full of snow gear, chattering about how the two friends met during college. Kara has been working nonstop for the past few hours. She is writing an article about her recent terrible dating experience. She has to work hard if she wants to become an editor. But the problem is that she's not so sure about anything. The only thing she can do is trust that this trip will bring a different and much clearer perspective on things. When they reach their hotel, they are told that the room isn't ready yet, so they have some time to spare. They go to rent a board for Kara and see something that they did not expect. The place is almost empty, save for some low-quality boards, but suddenly, on a separate pedestal, they've put up a board that is not even in stores yet. Anyone who knows anything about snowboarding would do anything to have a chance to try it out. So she quickly plunges herself toward it, but she isn't the only one laying her hands on the board. Kara and Ben reach it simultaneously. Ben suddenly comes to his senses and lets her have it, but before she takes it away, he still makes a jibe that this kind of board is not for someone like Kara. It results in an amusing conversation and a clash of words, after which both understand that the other is an experienced snowboarder. The chemistry between them is extremely evident as Kara turns around and leaves. After some time, when the girls reach their chalet, they find a huge gift basket on the table, but to their confusion, they find that it is not addressed to them. Then they hear footsteps, turn around quickly, and see shirtless Ben descending the stairs. It turns out that both Ben and the girls rented half a chalet, so now either they have to call the hotel and solve the problem, or stay together. Soon they find out, however, that everything is already booked. Megan seems much less concerned about it. She takes some wine and starts pouring it, when Sean walks in and stops. The sight is not as disturbing for him as for Ben. In fact, Kara and Ben seem to be much more troubled by the circumstances than Megan and Sean. They became rivals after their first conversation. Then Sean takes the glass of wine and proposes to take this party outside. In the next scene, Megan, Sean, and Ben are outside, struggling to start the fire. Sean comes up with the great idea to avoid work at any cost. He even goes as far as urging everyone not to even talk about it. Megan seems quite fond of him. She likes his idea and even laughs at his jokes. Then Ben runs out of matches and enters the kitchen to get some more. Kara is there, working on her novel. They resume their rivalry. They seem to like this process a lot. But before they can continue arguing, Sean walks in and urges Kara to quit working and come join them outside. Ben follows his lead, but Kara is convinced that working on her novel is not literally working, it's more of a leisure activity. At night, she tells Megan that she is willing to become a mystery writer on this vacation. She is eager to treat everything around her as a huge mystery, and take notes. She wants to start by uncovering the situation of the gift basket addressed to Ben and Sean. When they get back, the guys are relaxing together. Kara finds her first thing in common with Ben, literature. He's reading Agatha Christie, the writer that Kara loves, but before they can talk much about it, there's a knock on the door. It's Ben's and Sean's new boards. Both of them are the same as the one that became the subject of the rivalry. Unconsciously, Kara smiles and goes to her room. There is truly something that doesn't meet the eye about Ben and Sean's identities. The next morning, Kara is oddly energetic, considering that she has been writing the whole night. It seems like she finished another of her dating cleanse posts. It was about toxic temptations, and we understand that Kara feels something toward Ben, despite their rivalry. Then she notices something strange. It's Ben sliding down the slope, even though the lift has just started. Yet another hint that he's not an ordinary man. In the following scene, someone named Jennifer comes up to Ben and thanks him for everything he has done for something called Camp Snow. It seems like it is an event that Ben has donated to. The girl assumes that he'll attend the event tonight and even make a speech, but Ben rejects the idea. They mention something about the boards Ben ordered. The lift starts then, and the girls get ready to go up the slope. Suddenly, Diane calls Megan and asks her to do some work. It is about the screening of their 8 new applicants and narrowing them down to only 3. Before Megan can say anything, Diane tells her to expect a call from one of them at any minute and hangs up. There is nothing she can do, so Kara approaches the lift alone. To her surprise, it's Ben she has to ascend the slope with. They both notice it late, but when they do, Ben tries to have a nice conversation with her for once, but Kara meets him with cynicism. Ben then follows her lead, abandons the idea of a nice conversation, and assumes that her attitude derives from avoiding human connections. From his perspective, Kara has numerous protective mechanisms working restlessly all the time. Hearing this, Kara fights back and mentions the way Ben is trying to hide his identity. Then the lift reaches the top of the slope, and Kara goes down first. In the next scene, it is afternoon, and Ben is trying to resume his reading. Suddenly, he notices the manuscript of Kara's novel, and starts reading that instead. When Kara comes home to continue her work, he mentions it himself, assuming that she won't get mad. But of course, she does. He had no right to touch it. Ben then tries to justify himself, claiming he enjoyed it, and this calms Kara down. The perspective of someone other than her best friend ignites her motivation even more. Later that day, Megan is still on her phone when Kara comes up to her. She urges her to apply for the job in management herself. She's just so good at it. The only thing that is stopping her is her inability to ask for it. After that, Kara descends from the slope again and sees Ben coming from the bar. After their usual bittersweet conversation, they walk inside. Back to Megan, she has finally finished with the phone calls and cannot wait to go down. But suddenly somebody stumbles, falls behind, and crashes into her. The man starts apologizing, but stops abruptly when he sees Megan. It's Sean. Suddenly, this crash has become a happy accident, but Megan is unable to stand up. It seems like something is wrong with her wrist. Meanwhile, Kara and Ben are sitting together, chatting unusually pleasantly. To our surprise, Kara begins to genuinely laugh at his jokes. Ben then notices how perfect everything is around them, and how he wants everyone to be able to experience it. He explains how he learned to ski here at this resort. The story is really heartwarming. He still gets goosebumps when he remembers the way his dad clapped when his son did his first trick. The story warms Kara's heart too. She smiles deeply and mentions that her father is the same. The only difference is that Ben's father is not among the living anymore. Kara stutters and apologizes, but Ben is over it. The two seem to get along, finally. This is their first conversation where the ice breaks and they begin to explore the deeper levels of each other's personalities. Then Kara tells him about grad school and the dilemma she's facing. She either has to take a risk or continue working on a job that most people would give their left arm for. Ben understands it, since he has the same kind of job. He works for a snowboarding company, and it is no easy job. Kara gives him some risky advice, and for the first time, they agree on something. Kara prefers to give out risky advice rather than receive it herself. Then Ben's phone rings, and he is reminded that he has to be somewhere, so abruptly, he stands up and leaves. Meanwhile, Sean tends to Megan's wrists and tells her that she can no longer use any devices for 2 to 3 days. There is no way this will work for Megan. Her boss will never have her without a phone. Sean reveals that he's a doctor, to her surprise, and advises her to listen to him. In the next scene, Kara talks to Diane on the phone, who tells her that she needs the 3rd article by midnight. In the process of talking, Kara notices Ben hugging Jennifer and unloading a car. On her way toward him, however, a hotel employee tells her about Megan's condition, and she rushes to the infirmary. As Sean explains everything to her, he takes Megan's phone and sneaks it out with him. In the next scene, Ben is working on the interior of the event when Jennifer approaches him. From their conversation, we understand that this event will help kids from all backgrounds attend camps, and this cause is really important for Ben. Then Jennifer tries one more time to convince him to do a speech, telling him that there will be no press, just one photographer, and that his involvement on that level would mean a lot. This time, Ben is thinking about it, despite the fact he doesn't want to be the face of the event. Later that afternoon, Megan tells Kara the story of her accident. It seems like she won't be getting any more phone calls while she's here. Then Kara goes on, talking about her day as well, and Megan begins to look at her with a sly smile. It is extremely evident that something is cooking between Kara and Ben. Almost the same conversation is being played out in the sauna simultaneously. It's Ben spilling out too much, making it obvious that she likes Kara more than he's willing to admit. But Kara's brain is screaming at her to be cautious after that rooftop party, and Ben knows that his mystery must stay undercover. There is no way Kara would like him if she finds out the truth about him. In the next scene, Kara returns to the hotel and bumps into Ben. Half unconsciously, she invites him to trivia that night at 8. Ben notices Jennifer in the distance and sadly rejects Kara's offer. Then quickly, he asks her to wait, excuses himself, and runs to Jennifer. He tells her that he will attend the event this evening, and asks permission to bring a guest with him. Then he returns to ask Kara, but finds her gone. He searches for her on the snowy trail, hiking alone and listening to music. He tells her all about Camp Snow and the event that is about to be held this evening. And then he asks her to be his +1. He isn't so sure that the event is going to be as fun as the trivia, but with Kara, he knows that it will be far more amusing. Kara knows that she has to work this evening, but this sentiment makes her smile widely and half-consciously. She's a little reluctant, since neither of them is dating, but Ben says that there is no need to call it a date. It will be just a little outing of theirs, and that's all, so Kara agrees. When the evening comes, Ben is standing alone, already dressed and looking sharp, waiting for Kara to get prepared. Then the door opens, and she comes out, looking stunning. She looks so perfect that Ben is dumbfounded. Some kind of otherworldly power grips him. He walks up to her and starts telling her why he's involved in this event. It seems like he's about to say something he'll regret, but Kara stops him. There is no need to know everything about Ben. This moment is evidence of how they've changed in a couple of days of spending time together. Ben is no longer curled up in his shell, and Kara is no longer awaiting danger around every corner. Once they arrive at the event, they are greeted by Jennifer, and Ben notices that the faces attending start murmuring and chattering quietly. The eyes are rolling, and he knows that they are all talking about him. So he leads Kara to the library, where there's nobody to roll their eyes at. He admits why he wanted her to see this place full of books, so that he would push herself to fully commit to writing. She's extremely good at it, and her intentions completely match Ben's requirements as a reader. He can bet that Kara will become a great writer. It is true that before this vacation, he wasn't a man so fond of betting, but spending more time with Kara has convinced him that there is something to be found in the unexpected. Their conversation is suddenly interrupted. The action has begun, and people gather in one room to acquire special snowboards. Meanwhile, Sean and Megan are competing in trivia. Back to the event, the auction has ended successfully, and Jennifer approaches Ben to steal him away. Some important people are eager to meet him. Naturally, Ben isn't willing to leave Kara. He stutters for a moment, until Kara thinks fast and says out loud that he promised her this dance. The music starts, and they steal away, leaving Jennifer empty-handed. Kara jokes that she might need to keep an eye out for Jennifer, who clearly hounds Ben. They start slow dancing, but suddenly they hear the loud clink of a camera. Jennifer is there with her photographer, saying that this photo is just for the next promo event. The cameraman doesn't even wait for Ben's permission. He keeps on shooting, and Jennifer keeps on stressing how great Ben and Kara look together, so all they can do is pose for a moment until they leave. Kara then continues investigating Ben's personality half-jokingly, saying that he's camera-shy. As it turns out, Ben only tries to avoid the public eye. He's indeed in public right now, surrounded by the attention of many important people, but he claims that he doesn't notice any of it. The photographer, however, keeps shooting photos of him, so he asks her to go somewhere more private. In the next scene, Kara begins telling him that this place reminds her of her favorite cafe back home. It is the one where they also sell books. Ben is surprised when he hears this. That place is also his favorite. Weirdly, they have never met before. Perhaps they were meant to meet each other here. It is good that they met this way, although Ben feels like things are about to complicate themselves at his work. Kara then notices a strange contradiction in his actions. He doesn't want to get noticed, but he still comes to this resort and attends this event. And this is how Ben explains it all. His involvement in the snowboarding sport has become routine and more job-like lately, and he wanted to come back here, where it all started, to reignite his passion. This explanation strangely resonates with Kara's life. Because of her work, dating has become a job for her lately, but when she came here, love changed form, and she remembered what it is truly like to feel something real toward another person. Naturally, the subject of their conversation shifts to Kara's previous love life. They look at the night through the window, and suddenly, Ben expresses just how thankful he is that some foolish man did some foolish thing to lose Kara. It is thanks to him that Ben is here right now, with her. Saying this, he leans closer, and Kara does the same. For a moment, it seems like their lips will surely touch, but someone walks in with a loud bang, and they quickly open their eyes and pretend that they were not just about to kiss each other. The moment is gone, but they will have plenty of other opportunities. For now, they go for another dance. Meanwhile, Diane gets a notification while working late. It's a photo of Ben and Kara together, and naturally, Diane wants to know more about Ben, so she looks his name up and comes up with an idea. She calls Kara, who's in the middle of a romantic dance. Her face changes instantly. She's desperate not to answer it, but she knows that it's necessary. So, excusing herself, Kara walks off, and as she leaves the place, Ben gets a call as well, from his publicist. Kara sees Megan and Sean, who are about to enter the final round of trivia, and walks outside to call Diane back. The latter tells her everything that she's found out about Ben. It seems like he's the CEO of Cyan Winter Sports, and a quite popular and successful man. Diane texts her the link to the post, and we see Kara thinking intensely about something. Back to Ben, his publicist tells him that Kara is a relationship journalist, and it changes his whole perspective on everything. The last thing he needs right now is Kara writing about their meeting and their slow-burning connection. He tells Sean that this is a sign that things with Kara weren't meant to work out, and he means to follow his publicist's advice and leave this place tonight. Meanwhile, Diane urges Kara to change the subject of her last piece and write about her relationship with Ben, but she's asking for something that Kara would never do. She will never use someone's name to get more clicks. Diane tries to threaten her, mentioning losing her position. But before they can talk more about it, Kara's phone runs flat. All she can do now is get back to the chalet and start writing her last piece. Maybe Diane will not go as far as to fire her. Before she heads inside to say goodbye to Ben, however, the latter walks down the stairs. He tells her that he also got a phone call about something very urgent. With stone-cold eyes and no significant expression, he says that he has to leave tonight. Kara sees him crawling up inside his shell like never before, acting even more cynical, and feels an urge to just get this goodbye over with, before it gets tougher. Back inside the hotel, Sean and Megan won the trophy, and are now celebrating it. They are getting along extremely well. Megan admits that she hasn't felt this much happiness and freedom since she started working. Strangely, she's glad because of the accident. But nothing can go on forever. Megan has to return home tomorrow, and her work life will continue. Sean tries to speak up, but before he can say what he wants to say, the barman rings a bell to get everyone's attention, and informs the whole room that the roads are closed because of intense snow. Meanwhile, Kara is preparing tea for herself when Ben comes downstairs, entirely ready to head out. They say goodbye, both holding some information about one another, but before Ben can walk out, the light goes off. They get a radio to understand what is happening, and learn that they are stuck there. It is extremely cold, so Kara starts the fire. She seems much better at it than Ben, and this fact gives them some material for a little small talk, but soon they can no longer hold on. Both start laying out their cards. Kara tells him that she knows about his position and work, and Ben reveals that he knows about hers. Journalists have always given Ben a hard time, and it is because of them that people roll their eyes in his presence. Very soon, and very naturally, they start coming out of their shells again. They start opening up and understanding one another. Kara assures him that she isn't the kind of journalist who likes to ruin other people's reputations. She merely writes posts about relationship stuff, and as a matter of fact, one of those articles she's written in the past said never to leave abruptly. Then Ben justifies his actions, saying that it was his publicist's idea. He doesn't want their relationship to end. There are too many secrets that he holds, and those secrets might work against their connection, so he prefers to tell it all to Kara. As they are talking, Sean and Megan are in the common room. They reflect on the weekend they spent together. Megan decides that she has to find another job. She needs a long-term plan. But according to Sean, there are some short-term plans that she should also consider. For example, their dinner on Monday. Megan agrees happily to the date. Back at the chalet, Ben tells the story of how he started his company. When he was in college, he used to board every day, but the boards he had never quite gave him what he needed. So, as a way to amuse himself, he started working on his design. Soon, his friends started buying it, and by some miracle, one of them became a champion. Ben and his design went viral, and he started a company. The board decided that he should be the face of the brand. And from that point on, the line between his personal life and work life faded away. The scandal that puts him in grave danger is this: he dated a USA champion. who broke up with him after a month. She said that Ben was distracting, but after that, she broke her knee and lost the tournament. The journalists, naturally, connected the dots and came up with a narrative that suggested that Ben was at fault. As they speak, the board is deciding whether to fire Ben or not. Ben apologizes to Kara. He should have told her all of it right away, but now his actions are clear. Kara understands him. They talk briefly about it, coming together once more, but suddenly, Kara remembers her last post. It seems like she only has 15 minutes to finish it, and neither a phone nor a laptop to write it on. Ben, however, gives her his laptop, which still has some battery life left, and Kara goes out for some fresh air to start working. Kara returns very soon. She isn't so sure that Diane will like it, but regardless of her view, this is what she's going to get. Ben says that she's taking a risk, but there is something that Kara learned throughout this weekend. Some risks are worth taking. Just like before, the moment is perfect for their kiss. They lean closer, but again, just before their lips touch, Megan runs in with Sean. They say that the roads are open again, and the light is back, but not for long. As Sean warns, there is a bigger storm coming, and the roads might be closed for a long time. Neither Megan nor Sean can afford to stay here that long, so they have to pack now, and get going as soon as possible. It turns out that this is how their date is going to end, but Ben reckons that they can continue it back in the city. He takes one of the phones from the coffee table and asks Kara for her number. She hesitates for a second. What if the board doesn't approve of this? But Ben says something that finally assures Kara that he is the one. He says that in that case, he will have to find a new company. Everything is going perfectly, but suddenly the newly charged phone turns on, and some notifications from a few hours ago start showing up on the screen. Ben looks at them, thinking that it's his phone, but when he reads the notifications, everything turns upside down. It's Kara's phone, and the notification is from Diane, urging her to write about Ben. She even sends her the headline, "How I Met the Famous CEO." Ben is dumbfounded. This can only mean one thing for him. Kara lied, and the only thing she cares about is her career. Ben feels betrayed, and there is nothing that a desperate Kara can do to explain the notifications. Ben walks out after Sean and leaves her behind, sobbing. The next morning, while driving on a snowy highway, Kara definitely needs some cheering up. Megan turns her phone on, and the cascade of messages starts clicking and popping one after another. They are so many that it soon becomes funny. Then Megan calls Diane and urges Kara to listen closely, since she might find it amusing. Diane is happy to finally hear from Megan. She starts talking about the intern that filled in for Megan during the weekend. But before she can go on for longer, Megan asks her to interview one more person for the job opening. Diane asks for the name, and is taken aback when she hears that Megan is asking to be interviewed herself. But regardless of the surprise effect, she agrees. Megan is really qualified to do the job, and furthermore, she knows the business better than anyone. In the next scene, Ben meets with Sean and tells him about what happened to his job. There is no way of knowing what the decision of the board was, because Ben quit right away, before they could say anything. Sean is surprised that his best friend just quit the company that he himself founded. Now all the doors are open for Ben. He can do whatever he wants without thinking too much about his image, but for some reason, he doesn't feel uplifted at all. He feels like a fool, and this is the reason. He takes out his phone and reads the letter that Kara sent to Diane last night. Ben thought that it was going to be an article about him, exposing some intricate details, but instead, as he reads it out loud, we understand that it's a resignation letter. It seems like Kara decided to quit writing for the magazine, follow Ben's advice, and enter the graduate program. In the office, Diane is reading the letter too. Once she is done, she tries to lure Kara into reconsidering her decision. But when she sees that Kara's decision is true and final, she yields and wishes her the best of luck. When Kara walks out, she sees Megan coming toward her. From their short conversation, we understand that Megan got the job. She's now an operations manager. Before the latter runs away to do some business, she gives Kara a letter that came for her that morning. Kara opens it up and reads it. It is from Ben, written in a hurry with a pencil. He says that he was wrong, and asks her to meet up in their favorite spot. In the evening, Ben is about to give up and go home, when we see Kara walking into the cafe. Right away, Ben apologizes. He knows that one apology won't do anything, but he is still willing to try. Kara, on the other hand, tries to justify his reaction, saying that anybody in their right mind would think the same, after reading that headline, but Ben isn't convinced. He should have given her the benefit of the doubt. Kara calms him down, though. She will have a lot of time to forgive him when she's in graduate school. Then Ben tells her about his news as well. He will have a lot of time to make it up to her, too. They are about to kiss for the first time, and naturally, we expect something out of the ordinary to happen. But fortunately for them, no one rushes into the cafe, and no one calls to interrupt them. The long-awaited kiss finally comes.